Hello everybody, Sergeant Solge here and we're back with How to Rust. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Kip Dynamite. How you doing, man?
Hey, buddy.
Excited about this video today?
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty excited too. We have a 3-part video series coming up here. This is part 1, and this is called Scouting for Raids. Now this is something that a lot of people have said in both YouTube comments and on Reddit that they really want to see how to scout for raids. So I have Kip here who does a lot of raids for the Cartel Clan on the Resistity server. He's going to help us do this. So, are you ready to go outside, man?
Yes, sir.
Alright, let's hit it. You gotta open the door, though. My first... Ooh, I gotta turn this off. My first recommendation for scouting a base is to go out at night. For a very simple reason, it makes it very easy to see bases at night when most people have a campfire or a furnace going. So, that's the base we're going to be scouting, and as you can see, there's a fire going in it. We know someone's home. Or they were home, maybe they just left, who knows. So what we're going to do is, now that we know that someone was home, or they could have been home, we can pretty much guess that their loot could be on the, not the top floor, but the floor right underneath that, because that seems to be where some of the light's coming from. What do you think, Kip?
I tend to agree with that.
Okay. In my personal opinion, it's always best to scout from a distance, such as this. You don't want to get down there because you don't, for one, want them to see you, but for two, if they kill you and then loot your body, they now know who was scouting them. So trying to stay stealthy is very important when you're scouting. So from this point, let's go ahead and we're going to start closing in. I can't guarantee that someone isn't going to come upon us during this, and I'm hoping that Kip kills them instead of me because they're going to claim admin abuse.
I'll kill him.
Kip's got to kill him. So, Kip, as the resident raider for the Cartel Clan, why don't you go ahead and explain to us how you scout for bases, for potential raids?
It all depends on what we're doing. If we're raiding for loot, then I'll look for base like this size.
Okay.
They're going to be easy to penetrate and get into.
Okay. Now, you said if you're looking for loot. What other options are there instead of looking for loot?
Well, we don't ever raid for loot. We just raid to blow people up.
So you raid to
Push them
send a
off the
message.
server. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So this type of base, this is a loot raid then.
Yeah, this would be a loot raid, for sure.
Alright. So if you're going to be going in for loot, what kind of things are you going to be looking for to potentially make your raid easier?
I'm going to look at how much C4 it'll cost versus how much I think that they have.
Okay.
With a base like this, they don't have any quarries near them.
Right.
They probably don't have a lot of loot. It's probably one or two guys that are just punching rocks for a living.
Okay. So from here, basically what we want to look at are, 1, the windows and shooting positions for the base. The whole top level has a lot of windows, which means that they could pretty much shoot from multiple different directions at us on the ground here. Also, as you can see right up there, they have a little corner that pokes out. That's for when you're up against the walls. They could stand on that roof or that floor and look straight down at you. I use it all the time in my base builds. It's something that's very useful, especially for defenders. Also, as you can see looking through this window here, they have a roof opening, which means that they're not only going to be contained into the windowed area of their base, they're going to be able to go up onto the roof, which sometimes makes it easier for the raider to kill them, but it also makes it easier for the defenders to kill you. So, what are we doing over here, Kip?
I'm going to build a little scout tower, see if I can see in, see if it's honeycombed, if it's all open.
Okay.
Generally,
looks like
people who build bases this big, they're not very good at it.
it looks like you found a little hole in the tool cupboard protection as well.
I did indeed.
Sometimes that's going to happen. As you can see, in this particular base, we didn't put any tool cupboards along the backside. But we did put them in the front to try to prevent a raider from being able to build directly in front of the base. This is the kind of stuff that you would actually see in the game, especially in vanilla, where you don't necessarily have all the resources you need to completely surround your base with tool cupboards and walls. So while he's building up his little scout tower, what exactly are you looking for once you reach the top of this tower?
I want to look inside and see the base layout. Maybe see if I could jump in a window. I could see from right here there's a hole in the roof.
Right.
So maybe popping a cupboard and building up will get us right in.
Okay.
And I can see right through, so I know it's not honeycombed.
Okay.
See right through the top level.
Right.
And I did see the light shining through with the shadows.
Right.
So I know that there's very little honeycombing, if any.
On the inside, in the lower levels?
Yeah. Well, the lower levels might be honeycomb, but I saw the light from the furnaces and the fire upper.
Right.
And if you actually look on the outside of the base, you can see a shelf poking through.
Oh, where's that at?
Near the gate.
Near the gate.
If I back up a bit and my textures don't render as finely...
Oh, I see it right there. So,
right there,
yeah, that shelf there, that basically is telling us that their loot room could potentially be right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your opinion, then, it'd probably be best to go from the front. Since that's where the loot room is, we probably want to hit that wall.
Yeah, for sure. I
Okay.
don't think we'll be able to build close enough to jump in.
Okay.
When I go up, I build into building protection.
Over
So
where you're
it's
at right
gonna
there?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure.
Okay.
But there's
So-
one little cupboard out here. So a lot of times what'll happen is, with the new cost to high walls that happened a while ago,
Okay.
people are going to rush the high wall, but they're not going to have the resources to build a lot of tool cupboards outside protecting it.
Right. Which
So
is what we
judging-
saw in this case here.
You got it. So judging from the distance from the base to that tool cupboard, I might be able to build in on top of the gate.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the gates, because there's a few things that you need to know in terms of scouting gates as well. Number one, these gates are way too close together. Way too close. That's one thing you need to look for. People actually don't realize that their gates can be this close together and cause the raiders to get a huge advantage. You could actually move this outside gate at least 3 gates worth of distance away, and it would still technically be too close to the first gate, because all you'd have to do is get on top of it and then just make the jump. You will make it every time. Also, there's a lot of gaps when it comes to putting walls next to gates because they don't snap together very well. In this particular case, the builder seems to have done a pretty good job. They mold together really well on this side,
Not on this side where I'm at, though.
and there's a pretty bad gap on this back one as well. On your side, there's a bad spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I jumped right in and I bypassed one gate completely. There's one high wall. If I was ambitious, I could pick it.
Look at that. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is something to definitely remember or write down or something when you're talking about raiding this base with your clan, is there's a huge gaping hole right here, and you could literally bypass not only the first layer of walls, but definitely the first gate as well. And as Kip said, if you were an ambitious raider, you could pick this wall down. Kip, how many pick raids have you been on?
Oh, I've done quite a few.
These guys call it the Cartel Pickaxe Party.
Yeah, for sure.
So another thing that I actually want to mention to you guys before we wrap this video up are these tool cupboards right here. A lot of times people will put fake tool cupboard shack down just to kind of confuse you as to which one would be the real one so that you blow the fake. Sometimes this happens to where you can't access the tool cupboard, but in their haste of trying to throw it down, it actually clips through the wall slightly. You definitely want to look for this to see, okay, this is definitely a real one, or if you don't see it, it's still 50-50. This could be real, this could be fake. Also, when you're looking at the outside layer of tool cupboards, if you start backing away from it and you run out of protection within a certain spot, let's say like if you get here and the protection is gone, there's a good chance that there isn't a tool cupboard in that shack because the protection really should go all the way out here. So there's a good chance that the one next to it could have the tool cupboard in it. Have you ever had situations like that, Kip?
Absolutely. It comes with a lot of hours on the game.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
You'll learn the distances of the tool cupboards. Like
Without a
generally,
doubt.
when there's a fake one, I can tell which one's going to be fake.
Right. Now, I have one more thing that I want to ask you, Kip, and we'll wrap this video up, and then we're actually going to start raiding this base and going over different raid techniques. And that is, when you're looking at a base like this, or if you're looking at a base with a much larger footprint, I'm not talking about the base itself, but the high walls and the gates, what would you prefer to go through? Would you rather go through the walls? Would you rather build over it? Or would you rather follow the path that the gates set for you?
It really depends on if I know whose base it is.
Right.
Like if I know who lives there, I'm gonna wait for them to log off, and I'll probably pick the walls down.
Okay.
If I don't know who lives there, like this base here, I would build over for sure.
Okay. I know a lot
over.
of people, instead of picking the walls, they would actually pick the gates instead, because there has to be a certain amount of space in between the gates to prevent you from jumping on them, and that space is essentially a giant hole in their wall. So instead of picking one wall like this over here, where it's a 1-for-1 swing, sometimes 1-for-2, they'll actually pick the gate where it's the same amount of damage and the same amount of swings. And that actually creates a much larger opening for them because of the gap between the two gates. Now, I know I've spectated and I've recorded a raid where you guys did that. Exactly. You guys went through the gates because it would have been a whole lot faster than to pick through 15 high walls.
Yeah, it all depends on how many people you have. If I was doing solo, I would look for a little spot where I could jump through, maybe skip one wall.
Like your spot over here?
Cover. Yeah, just so that I could pick in peace.
Pick in peace. I like that. So anyway, that's it for this video. Kip Dynamite, my good friend who joined me on this. He's going to be helping me record the other 2 videos for this series. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sounds like we have company. This is going to happen when you're scouting too. People are going to find you. Ooh, that guy just fell over dead. Good shot. People are going to find you while you scout, so it's very important to make sure you don't hang around here for very long, especially in the daytime, because it's very, very obvious. Kip, my friend, do you have any last words for scouting a raid?
Just take your time, be patient with it.
That's good. Another thing that he mentioned, he didn't necessarily say this is something to do, but it's something that he does, is sometimes it's better to wait for that particular player to log off before doing a raid. And if you're on a vanilla server, the reason you do that is because there's a good chance that they're just going to despawn their stuff. They would much rather nobody have it than for you to have it. Or if you're on a modded server, they'll just teleport it out. Unfortunately, that's the way the game is right now, and as a raider, you need to be cognizant of that. So, just because people say offline raiding is for pansies, don't believe that. Offline raiding is for people that want to get stuff for their raids. So, Sergeant Solge, Kip Dynamite, and this was Scouting for Raids, and we'll see you in the next How to Rust video. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching How to Rust, a series for new players to the game of Rust. If you have any ideas for future episodes that could be useful to new players, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments section of this video.